ladies and gentlemen, and soon to be my fellow Marties. As Professor has said, I'm Nadine Moodie, and I'm currently doing my second degree in law at this university. My first degree was in international studies. To give you guys a bit of background about who I am and where I'm from, I come from Cape Town, just down the road, and I attended school at St. Cyprian's School up on the mountain. Just a few years ago, I was exactly at the same place of where you're at right now. I was unsure about where I was going to commence the next chapter of my life. Like many of you sitting here tonight, I was also in a bit of a pickle. I was accepted to Rhodes, UCT, and then at Stellenbosch. The most natural thing for me would have been to go on to UCT or Rhodes because most of my friends went there, a lot of my family members studied there. The university cultures were very similar to what I was familiar to, and the main language that was used in terms of instruction and administration was English. But I wanted to come to Stellenbosch because no one in my family had ever decided to come and study here. And because this is the intellectual home for apartheid, and the reason my grandfather had to be reclassified as a person, and my mom fought the system as a student. But when I decided to come and study here, many people tried to discourage me from coming here. Some told me, you know, the racism there, Nadine, you're never going to survive. Nadine, the language, your Afrikaans is net nie goed genoeg nie. And I started doubting a bit, but the support of my teachers and my parents really helped me in terms of them going, look, if you want to try something new, go for it. Stellenbosch, it's a good place. But I was still a bit unsure. Until one Sunday evening, I was watching the Sunday night news bulletin. I think it was on SABC2 at about 6 or 7. And there was Rian Kruiwagen talking to me via the television. And he said that there was some incident that took place in one of the residences here at Stellenbosch, where some students were being ostracized because they were different. They were black, they were gay, some of them were Jewish, some of them were English, some of them were from the farms, others from the cities. And I realized that the only way in which these students' mindsets, those students who were ostracizing these other students, the only way that their mindsets would change is if they meet their equals. Students who look a bit different to what they do, but come from a very similar socio-economic background. And that is, you know, having similar schooling, education, language, you know, economic status, all those kinds of things, but have a bit of a different skin color. Then what happens, these students, they meet up in residence or in classes, and they no longer see that, you know, the difference, but they start seeing the commonalities and the similarities that we actually have between each other. And they become friends, and they start partying together, and all those things that they once, you know, stood in the way of becoming friends, all just become things of the past. After the news bulletin, I was determined that this is the place for me. I am coming to Stellenbosch University because they need me here. My mom, on the other hand, started becoming very unsure about this. She sat me down and she said, Nadine, my child, I don't think that this is the place for you to go to. Did you see what they say on the news there? And I was like, Mom, you know, I see that, but you know, if I want to make a difference or, you know, make a contribution to this country, I want to go to Stellenbosch. That's going to be my place, and that's going to be my next home my home for the next few years. We then made a deal that Sunday evening, and she said to me, okay, it's quite tough to get into residence there. I read in the prospectus, and the people from prospective students have also told me. So the only way you're going to be able to go there was if you get a place in the residence. Now, at that stage, the Rhodes letter was lying at home already. And with Rhodes, when you get accepted there, at that time, you got accepted for residence as well. Now it's no longer like that, apparently. So then there was Rhodes looking at me, and UCT. Whenever I looked out of my room window, I saw UCT as well. So, you know, I was in a bit of a pickle. So what I did was I started praying, and then I got in. And when I arrived here, my Afrikaans was very limited, and I was not used to the extreme heat during the months of January and the summer months. But I was very fortunate to have a mentor in the head student of my residence called Andrea Kutsia. And we started speaking a lot, and she picked up that, you know, my Afrikaans, it's a bit limited. And she said to me, you know, Nadine, if you're going to make a contribution to this country and to this campus, we're going to have to sharpen up your Afrikaans skills a bit. And then what she would do with me is every day I would read a bit of an article in the Afrikaans newspaper, Die Burger, and she would read in the English newspaper, and then we would talk, because she came from a dusty town in the south of Namibia called Keetmanshoop, where I think only one person speaks English. So every day from 5:30 till 6, we'd sit in a room and we'd speak about the day's events. I'd speak Afrikaans and she'd speak English. Today, ladies and gentlemen, Andrea is an associate lawyer for the top law firm in this country called Edwin Nason Sonnenberg. En ek, Nadine Moodie, is 'n ware maatie wat baie goed Afrikaans kan praat. Soos ek voorheen gesê het, my eerste graad is in internasionale studie. En ek het met van die slimste mense klas geloop en met hulle vriende geword. Ons het soms tot laat gedebatteer oor die toekoms van ons land en die wêreld. Maar meer as dit, het ek goeie vriende en 'n goeie graad verwerf van die universiteit. I also learned that one can actually do winemaking as a degree, and that it's actually a very sought after degree around the world. I learned that agricultural sciences is an actual science. Because it's very important to this country. It's what puts food on our tables. And it's what also makes the prices competitive and, you know, something that we are able to and affordable in our shops for us as people. I learned that sokkie does exist and that when you can do it properly, it's actually really fun. But the most important thing that I learned about this university is that in every course, in every field, and in every classroom, students are challenged with a question of how they're going to make a positive contribution to our society and the world. And we're constantly encouraged to do this, and sometimes we're even forced to think out of the box. My experience here has been challenging, but great, and one that I won't exchange for anything. Should you choose to come and study here, you're going to work hard, 100 times harder than what you're working right now for those matric exams of yours. Many long nights are going to be spent studying and working on assignments. Sometimes you're going to have tests and assignments all due for 1 week or maybe even the same day. But what helps and keeps one sane is knowing that everybody in your year and in your course is in the exact same boat as you. So you guys are there to encourage each other and also, you know, to make sure that everybody is doing the right thing. Stellenbosch is a fun place, my friends. It's a beautiful place. Today, I think this day was perfectly selected because the weather was so brilliant. You could see the mountains, the sunset, all these kinds of all beautiful things that really make Stellenbosch Stellenbosch. And there's lots to do. I've personally sat on many committees and gone to really cool parties and listened to some really awesome people who've come to speak at this university. Thabo Mbeki, Thuli Madonsela, Desmond Tutu, Stephen Hawking, Raymond Ackerman, the Chief Justices of the Constitutional Court, Van Zyl Slabbert. But my challenge, fellow martyrs, is for us to try and strike that balance between the outer class experience and the academic one. University is not what the movies make it out to be, where it's either one big party or just one big study. No, it's not that at all. It's about balance, my friends, and only you will know how to strike it. I remember doing quite well during my first year, but in all my courses, but for one. And I really had to reevaluate myself regarding this one course because I didn't know how to approach the subject matter, and I was failing and was ready to really give up. I even called my parents one Friday morning and told them that I'm dropping out and that evening they needed to come and get me from the university. But they persuaded me to stay on, and I did. And because I stayed on, I now have 2 cousins who've now come and studied here, and a younger sister. And they've all immersed themselves into marty life. All of them have been leaders in their residences and on campus, and have really had positive experiences. And I know that their siblings and the rest of our cousins are also coming to become martyrs. Fellow martyrs, I know that you all want a good education and that you want to have fun. And yes, that you can find that experience anywhere. You'll be able to find it at UCT, at Rhodes, at Tukkies, at Potch, at Wits. But I believe that this university and its students work towards delivering talented, smart, and socially aware young people to the world who are independent thinkers and already making a contribution and will continue to do so in the future, just as our alums are doing. People like Christian Barnard, who did the first heart transplant in our country, Bose Nodia, who fought for justice, Van Zyl Slabbert, who also fought for justice to come Kanye Dlomo, who was one of the first black newsreaders on SABC3. Rian Krevach, who still reads the news up until today. And Ruda Landman, who's just phenomenal. She just does so many things for our country. And if you want to be one of these people, I suggest you come. I thank you.